I'm a colorful person. I love color: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, pink. I don't like the color purple. Why, you might ask? Well, that's what I've been on a journey to figure out for myself. Hi, my name is Norma Angela Rodriguez, but most people call me Angela. I have disliked the color purple for as long as I can remember. But guess what color my bedroom is? Purple. 9 years ago, when little 7-year-old Norma, that's the name I went by at the time, moved into her family's new home in Irvine, she was given a choice. A choice of who to be, and a choice of what color to paint the walls of her new bedroom. Purple was the favorite color of all of little 7-year-old Norma's friends. Naturally, she felt that she should love purple too. I mean, after all, friends share everything. They share smiles, they share laughs, they share their food, their secrets, their favorite Disney princess. How on earth could little 7-year-old Norma possibly not love purple, when clearly it was the best color? And so, upon being presented by her dad with a chart of paint colors to choose from for her new room, she pondered for a moment before pointing at a delicate shade of lavender. These lavender walls are the first thing I see after waking up every morning, and the last thing I see before falling asleep every night. At this point in time, my family had just moved from an old apartment near LA where my little brother and I shared the same room as my parents. Leaving behind my friends was difficult, especially my best friend, whom we'll call Phoebe. Phoebe was the first friend I had ever made by myself, and we were so close that on the first day of kindergarten, I cried when I got home. And when my parents asked me why, I told them I missed my best friend. Though I haven't seen her in 9 years, looking back on our friendship has become a means of discovery about myself. One particular memory I reflect on is when our kindergarten teacher let me choose a treasure from the classroom treasure box because I had been very good that day. I chose a paint set. You see, Phoebe became jealous because she wanted the paint set. She begged me for it, but I refused. I mean, after all, it was my paint set, and I was very excited to have earned it. However, upon hearing me say no, Phoebe said that if I didn't give it to her, she wouldn't be my friend anymore. Of course, this left kindergarten me in shambles, and before we had gone home from school that day, I had carefully placed my prized new paint set into her school bag. After seeing that her threat had worked, Phoebe would continue to make the same threat throughout our friendship, knowing that I would comply with her demands. If I had simply found a quarter in the sandbox, it was hers. I was so attached, I was so afraid of losing the love that I was given, that I lost myself in a search for validation. On my last day at that school before I moved, our second grade teacher held a mini auction for some classroom prizes that she had. One of these items was a purple pen, and I bid for it. The problem is that Phoebe's favorite color was purple, and she wanted it too. So I gave in, one last time. After the move, little 7-year-old Norma decided to make a change. Gone were the days of being called Norma at school. This was a new age, the age of Angela. Perhaps going by a new name would make her into a new person, someone who didn't have to give herself away to please others. But despite all this fire inside of her, little 7-year-old Norma could not let go of her desire to fit in. She still chose the lavender walls. For some background, it is common in the Philippines for parents to give their children double names. Norma is the name of my late grandmother who passed away before I ever got a chance to meet her, and Angela is the given name my parents chose. Together, that makes me Norma Angela. This changing of name represented my effort in trying to form my own identity, to find myself. Who am I really deep inside? My parents have told me stories of my grandmother Norma, telling of her selflessness, her patience, her modesty. My parents' stories leave me wondering, would she have been proud of me? Would she have loved me, her junior, her namesake, her granddaughter to whom her legacy was left to, in spite of all of my flaws? I'm not my grandmother, a great woman whom I never knew. I'm not my grandmother, but perhaps I myself am a great woman. Ironically, a great woman whom I also do not know yet. The generational and cultural divide between me and my dearest mom and dad occasionally causes conflicting ideas, circumstances that seem to increase in frequency as I grow and mature into my own person. I'm sure that everyone here can understand, as parents are parents and teenagers are teenagers. Frustrated teenagers do some pretty dumb things to show their parents that they're all grown up and don't need to be patrolled. Well, my pretty dumb thing was my first relationship. Now, I won't go too much into how all that went, but let's just say that my first boyfriend had an affinity for the color purple. This relationship brought me into a new era of my life. I felt more grown up, more independent. I no longer felt as though I had to lie or pretend in order to be admired. And I started to like the color purple. Purple went from representing my insecurity and my need to be loved to representing the feeling of being loved. But these feelings were temporary. Some things just aren't built to last, and it certainly didn't help how this relationship tore me apart from my parents and made me lose my vision of the person that I wanted to be. He was yet another Phoebe, a worse Phoebe even. The words people pleaser continued to ring in my head, a glaring reminder that no matter how much I give, I will never be enough for anyone, let alone everyone. The color purple returned to its place as a color that I despised, even more so than before. The color purple is supposed to represent nobility, influence, magic, wealth, spirituality, a beautiful blend of the tranquility of blue and the passion of red. Purple, maybe the reason why I've always disliked the color purple is because I felt unworthy. Purple is all I have ever wanted to be, and yet my undying efforts to become purple, to embody purple, have only resulted in purple's self-inflicted bruises and the never-ending feeling of loneliness in a room full of familiar souls. A violet void that devours everything I try to fill it with, a void that never goes away. My lavender walls continue to be the first thing I see after waking up every morning and the last thing I see before falling asleep every night. You might be wondering, why doesn't she just repaint her bedroom and choose another color? Well, I simply can't. I don't want to be a person who paints over their walls and declares themselves liberated from societal pressure to conform. Real progress in the journey to become someone that little 7-year-old Norma would look up to and admire comes from within, not from the color of my bedroom walls. This journey of self-discovery has had its ups and downs, not so much like a staircase, but rather a game of stakes and ladders. Tumbling from the highest highs to the lowest lows has remained a recurring theme in recent years, constantly pleased, yet in the end, never satisfied. A couple steps up, or even several levels high up in the air, and I suddenly slip and miss my footing, sliding down the scaly back of a purple serpent. Some days I have the strength to grab a rung and pull myself back up the ladder, and some days I crash all the way to the ground and just sit there for a moment before getting back up on my feet and brushing myself off. In the end, purple is just a color. There is no rational reason for me to dislike a color simply because I am incapable of accepting the fact that I am human. How could a color represent so much without being anything more than a color? I am a colorful person. I love color: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, pink. I don't like the color purple, but to be honest with you all, I find that over time I've started to embrace my lavender walls. It's a tad bit ironic. Perhaps I've effectively convinced myself over the years to become someone I'm not, a product of manifestation. Fake it till you make it, as they say. Or perhaps people just grow and change. As I continue to go on this journey of self-discovery and become someone that I am sure little 7-year-old Norma would be proud of, I may just end up really loving purple after all. Thank you.